Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another edition of the Calsoft podcast, your premier source for discussions on all things tech. I am your host, Shantanu Pant, and with me today is Jhilik Das. Hi, Jhilik.
Hi Shantanu.
So, Jhilik has 5 years of experience in software development as well as expertise in data protection. She's developed enterprise level backup and recovery products for some of our biggest clients. So let's get into today's topic, which talks about the importance of Microsoft Office 365 data protection. So, Jilik, the past year and a half has been difficult for pretty much every single industry. How has working from home in the recent pandemic made an impact on workplace transformation?
Yes, Shantanu, it has been difficult, and as you know, so COVID-19 has compelled millions of us to stay at home, and we are learning so much about connecting and collaborating remotely. And at present, the world's top three cloud providers are AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. With cloud adoption, businesses are now experiencing a true digital collaboration that drives greater agility, productivity, and security. And Office 365 is the brand name that is used by Microsoft for a group of software applications providing productivity related services to its subscribers. And Office 365 applications include Outlook, OneDrive, Contacts, Calendar, Azure AD, OneNote, SharePoint, and Teams, to name a few. And as you can see on the screen, to give you some stats, Microsoft Office 365 is used by over a million companies worldwide, with over 731,000 companies in the United States alone. Microsoft has about 1.2 billion users, and 1 out of 5 corporate employees use a Microsoft 365 cloud service. Microsoft also has 400 million Outlook users and has currently about 155 million monthly active users, where Teams alone has around 115 million daily active users. So, Microsoft Teams user activity skyrocketed during the lockdown itself, reaching 44 million active users by March 2020, and by April had amounted to 75 million users, surpassing Zoom from February to June 2020 itself. This means Microsoft Office 365 users now make up over half of the 81% of total organizations who have made the shift to cloud services, and the workforce will continue to trend towards work from anywhere on any device model, is what I can foresee.
Really, that's a lot of users. Many of us, I should say, even I use it on a daily basis. Since there are so many of us using Office 365 for our day to day work, are there any risks of losing important data?
Yes, of course. So there are risks, and while ease of access is a benefit, the security of this data is something that can keep us up at night. Without a third-party backup solution, the important organizational data and business is exposed to many threats. Data loss is likely. For example, if you delete a user, whether you meant to or not, that deletion is replicated across the network along with the deletion of their OneDrive for business account and mailbox. Other such threats that are there is if a folder is emptied by a malicious actions of a rogue employee. Organizations fall victim to threats posed by their very own employees, both intentionally and unintentionally at times. So Microsoft has no way of knowing the difference between a regular user and a terminated employee attempting to delete critical company data before they depart. In addition, some users unknowingly create serious threats by downloading infected files or accidentally leaking usernames and passwords to sites they thought they could trust. Right. So another such risk is a system-wide ransomware attack that stops your day-to-day operations. Malwares and viruses like ransomware have done serious damage to organizations across the globe. External threats can sneak in through emails and attachments, and it is not always enough to educate users on what to look out for, especially when the infected messages seem so compelling these days. So Microsoft's limited backup and recovery functions are inadequate to handle serious attacks. And in addition, Microsoft's retention periods for storage of deleted data are not long enough and do not provide the ability to quickly restore data. So while Microsoft provides the infrastructure for the Office 365 system, it does not validate or guarantee the data that is contained within.
I see. You mentioned that there are some gaps with Microsoft's retention policies. Can you go in a little bit into detail? Like, what are the limitations with their native data retention?
Absolutely, Shantanu. So, as you can see on this slide, we can consider a couple of drawbacks. And the first is, the data cannot be retained forever. And the data retention policies are limited and limiting. For example, particular settings must be in place to retrieve files beyond a certain number of days. This number varies and is not well documented. Retaining data for too long also can be a compliance risk as well as costly. Meanwhile, being able to retrieve older data is often necessary. If there are accidental deletions, it is not only retained for a certain number of days based on Office 365 application and policy purchased. The data retained utilizes the same storage quota, which can get exhausted soon unless the Office 365 storage is increased. So there is only one retention copy for a file at a time. And when you lose the versioning information as the data is not point in time, so the entire data cannot be retained. Second is there is no robust security. Data breaches are increasing day by day. And if there is a data breach or a crypto virus that affects the tenant, your current data and the retained data are also at stake as they share the same securities, encryptions, and policies. Then you need a lot of manual intervention to manage this data. Saved files are only linked to version histories. So if one file is deleted, there is no way to go back and retrieve an earlier version. Everything is gone. And this approach is different than backup, which offers multiple recovery points. So this limitation is particularly challenging for OneDrive and SharePoint users who generate different multiple drafts or iterations of the same data. So it's also impossible to recover a file for a different user. And the recycle bin is controlled by the user, leaving the door open for users to delete whatever they wish. So sacred files can be permanently purged, before an employee leaves the organization. And to go ahead and secure everything, you will have to manually trigger the backups and restore the data one by one. There's no privilege to restore granular level data. So the administrator will end up spending hours searching for files in the recycle bin. So the last thing, which is a huge limitation from Microsoft, is the data loss prevention. And sometimes to manage such huge volumes of data, you may want to clean up space and you may end up deleting important data and now it is lost forever. So yeah, I guess these are the important limitations with the native data retention.
I see. So I was doing a little bit of reading about this and I came across something that I didn't quite get. What is Microsoft's shared responsibility model?
Oh, I'm glad you asked this question because, as you consider and evaluate public cloud services, it is critical to understand the shared responsibility model, which security tasks are handled by the cloud provider and which tasks are handled by you. So Microsoft's primary responsibility is focused on their global infrastructure and their commitment to millions of customers to keep this infrastructure up and running. Consistently delivering uptime reliability of their cloud service and enabling the productivity of users across the globe. Whereas an IT organization's responsibility is to have complete access and control of their data, regardless of where it resides.
What about the Office 365 recycle bin?
Yes. So Microsoft has a few different recycle bin options and they can help you with limited short-term data loss recovery. But to truly have complete access and control of your business critical data, you need full data retention. This is short-term retention, long-term retention, and the ability to fill all retention policy gaps. So in addition, you need both granular recovery, bulk restore, and point-in-time recovery options at your fingertips. So that is where, the recycle bin is not completely efficient. Next is security. Microsoft protects Office 365 at the infrastructure level. This includes the physical security of their data centers and authentication and identification within their cloud services, whereas the IT organization is responsible for security at a data level. There's a long list of internal and external data security risks, including accidental deletion, rogue admins, and ransomwares that we already discussed earlier. The final components are legal and compliance requirements, and Microsoft makes it very clear in their Office 365 Trust Center that their role is of the data processor. Even though your data resides within Office 365, an IT organization's role is still that of the data owner. So now, you understand exactly what Microsoft protects within Office 365. And without a backup of Office 365, you have limited access and control of your data, and you can fall victim to retention policy gaps and data loss dangers.
It seems as though Microsoft has some holes in their policy. How do you suggest we protect our critical data under these circumstances?
It's a fairly simple, I would say. It's just a four-step process, according to me. So first is we have to understand the data we want to protect. We need to know our data and identify important data across the organization. Then to protect the data, we have to apply flexible protection actions and involve encryption and access restrictions. That is how we protect our data. Thirdly, prevent the loss of data due to accidental deletion and protect sensitive information. And finally, always retain and store data in a compliant manner. So we have to govern our data. And this should be the approach to protect our critical Microsoft Office 365 data.
I see. So, under these circumstances, is it important to have a third party backup solution?
Yes. So far, we have established that Microsoft cannot back up and retain all your critical data, and hence the third-party backup solution is necessary. The first reason why Microsoft 365 should be protected by a third party is the age-old concept of 3-2-1 rule of backups. I'm sure you must have heard of it. So, we always say that 3 copies of your data on 2 different pieces of media, one of which should be offsite, is always mandatory. And even Microsoft agrees. Here is what they say in their service agreement for Microsoft 365. We recommend that you regularly back up your content and data that you store on the services or store using third-party apps and services. And moreover, having a third-party tool take backup of the Office 365 data makes your life easier and provides you a sense of security. It isn't a shared responsibility anymore. The backup solution takes full responsibility for keeping your data protected and secure even during catastrophic failures of the Office 365 infrastructure. Now, other advantages of third-party backup solutions are it enables you to retain different versions of the file while maintaining the folder hierarchy as well. You may even recover data deleted years ago from any specific save point with a simple click. And with no additional time needed to manage the backup and restores, as they can be scheduled to take backups every day with point in time recovery. And the data can be replicated to multiple storages, so you never lose the data and maintain the RPO and RTO of your organization. And that is why I feel it is extremely important to ensure your data is protected and backed up with some sort of data recovery solution.
All right, that makes sense. But that's a lot of information. How do you choose what criteria to evaluate when you're selecting a data protection solution?
Yeah, so whether you outsource data protection to a trusted service provider or you are a service provider evaluating a solution you can manage for customers, there are a few considerations to keep in mind. The first and foremost criteria is the solution easy to install and use? Simplified configuration and solution maintenance are essential with a solution that delivers a complete cloud-to-cloud backup and recovery.
So, do these solutions defend all data, everything from new users, groups, sites, teams, etc.?
Yes, so today with so many different solutions available, it can be incredibly difficult to ensure all systems are completely and reliably protected. And I understand that it can be a cause for confusion. So using just one solution to protect all the apps and systems you rely on saves time and money. And choosing a third-party Microsoft 365 backup solution that is thorough and flexible delivering comprehensive recovery for your Microsoft 365 data, no matter if you need to recover just one file or an entire website, is very, very critical.
I see. So, given the amount of work we do on the cloud, how do these solutions ensure data safety?
I'm saying that you will want to verify that everything is secure, from the solution itself to the protocol followed to ensure your cloud storage is safe. For example, encryption protects backups in transit and while stored in the cloud, so no one has access. Similarly, artificial intelligence based anti-ransomware technology should be integrated into your solution so that your data and backups never become compromised.
So, can you easily restore data using this?
Yes, so backups are critical, but if they can't be accessed quickly while you're losing money, right? So solutions that offer a user-friendly web console to manage backup tasks and find restore items remotely are absolutely key.
I see. And you mentioned that granular restore is important. So, are individual file search and granular restore, are these features possible? Can you implement them?
Yes, if just one item has been deleted, you should be able to recover that item alone. And better still, if you can download the missing file directly from the backup or recover an email and send it directly from the backup. So that will be, that's the need of the hour, I would say. So all these should be the key things to look for in an Office 365 data protection solution.
I see. So, what kind of data protection solution would you recommend for the average company?
Okay, so I would absolutely recommend Calsoft's 7-in-1 intelligent data protection framework for Microsoft 365, which is specifically designed to fill the gaps to protect complex data. It is lightweight, easy to integrate, deploy, and use. And for dealing with large amounts of data with parallel backups, you can protect your entire organization's data at lightning fast speed. Full and incremental backups with granular level recovery enable you to restore the desired data. And the ease with which we can restore the data is uncanny, as there is no intervention needed from the administrator once the restore completes. Where most of the recovery solutions take backup of selective data, we back up every bit of your data to the storage of your choice and recover it seamlessly using a fast search mechanism facilitated by Elasticsearch. And our solution helps avoid duplication of mails and events. It's also network resilient, with a retry mechanism in place. So all you have to do is integrate with our solution and your Office 365 ready.
Well, that's great. I am sure all our listeners will be pleased to know all this information about how to keep themselves safe. Thank you so much for joining us, Jilik, today.
Thank you, Shantanu.
This has been the Calsoft podcast featuring Jilik Das. I hope all of you managed to get a clearer picture of the state of Microsoft 365 security, as well as what steps you need to take to maintain it. Stay tuned for future podcasts where we explore the latest tech concepts and advancements. Thank you for listening.